Hey everybody, this is Skeet!
Caution, Mikey.
Rock and Roll Roundtable!
Yeah, absolutely. Presented as always by our good friends at Moshman Media.
This week, Virgin Years 2, Top 50 Follow-Up Bands.
Yeah. So we did a yay or nay segment not too long ago, a month or so ago, and it was surprising to us, both of us. I think that there was a few bands on this top 50 list of greatest bands of all time that we had never heard. So I did come to find out that the internet we used, the website I used, was a UK publication. Okay.
Yeah.
So I thought, okay, that explains a little bit, but still to have to be voted in the top 50, and I don't care if they're UK or whatever, of all time now, the top I thought, man, I have to be missing some pretty good stuff here. So we picked the three bands out that we had never heard and decided we're going to listen to them and give them an honest shot and just, get the mind of maybe they do deserve a spot in the top 50, especially in the UK. I would think probably so. But I do have to, on sidebar, I have to say it's Virgin Years with an asterisk for me because I was listening to one of the bands, and it's the first band we're going to talk about, Roxy Music. Okay, I was listening to them this week, and a song came on, and I said, "Holy crap! I know that song." So I thought it was Brian Ferry solo,
Okay.
but because Brian Ferry is the singer for Roxy Music. So all this time, I kind of thought maybe it was, maybe he was doing it on a solo gig when I heard it,
Yeah.
but it is a Roxy Music song. And then lo and behold, I heard another one that was obviously I missed. So yeah, so I heard a couple of songs from Roxy Music. So I will admit that, but I didn't listen to them in depth until this week. This week I really listened to them a lot. I listened to all three a lot. Roxy Music was one I listened to. And I mean, I guess, do you want any background? Do you want some background on these guys, or do you just want to talk about the music stuff?
Uh, I did a little looking because I wanted to see after listening to some of this.
Yeah.
I listened to some of this. uh, let's see. Roxy Music's. I've got they formed in 1970.
Yeah.
First album was 72. Uh, their last album was 82, and they split up in 83. Now,
Yeah.
Wikipedia was where I got this, and it was saying that they still kind of got together to do some shows up until 22,
Yeah.
2022. So they're still doing stuff occasionally.
Right.
So it explained a lot for me after listening to it what era these guys came from. And I will hand it back over to you.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of did the same thing. I looked into Brian Ferry, who's the singer, and I looked into the guy. One guy joined the band in '74 and then left. Was Brian Eno, and he had solo success in the '80s as well. He was a
Okay.
synthesizer guy. Brian Ferry is a very distinct vocalist to me. I mean, he has a sound to him that you kind of know it's only him or it could be a couple other people. So that I noticed right away that the voice was kind of it reminded me kind of Morrissey from the Smiths and Morrissey. Kind of reminded me of that a little bit. The music was, I mean, it's just softer music, but it's still pretty good. But 1982, the last album was Avalon. That's the one that contained the two songs I knew.
Okay.
So I was thinking probably my alternative kind of discovery in the early 80s. So that's probably where I heard them in passing. But Avalon, the song itself, and More Than This, the song, were very popular here. I mean, the album went platinum in the United States, that album. And the only thing that was kind of weird about that was that album did so good here, and then they break up. And you had the guys go there do their solo thing, which is great and all. But you wonder what would have been. And I went on to listen to I was listening to a bunch of random playlist stuff on Roxy Music, and I went and listened to a live album from 2001. And boy, they still sounded good in 2001. Now, I mean, it's 20 years ago, still 20 some years ago. But on that album, it was surprising. There was songs on there that a song for Europe was it's a real ballady kind of song, but man, it's really good. Um, and he starts singing in a different language about a halfway through. So
Okay.
he's kind of singing English, and then he goes into like a French thing.
Yeah.
So it was pretty impressive. Another song called "My Only Love." I like that song a lot. I was like, well, they had some respectable music, and it's like, okay, didn't give them much of a chance. They're not my wheelhouse. They're not my normal listening pleasure. But when I get bands like this that I don't know, one thing I do personally is I usually end up taking other bands and smushing them together and say, okay, that's what it sounds like to me.
Yeah.
So in this case, I get a very distinctive King Crimson, that weird kind of stuff, because they had a lot of that going on too, the horns and the piano, but kind of mixed that with the Cure a little bit. And yeah, and it's kind of like Talking Heads. Don't talk because his voice is like almost Talking Headish at some parts. So if you put Talking Heads, King Crimson, and the Cure together, that's kind of what I get out of Roxy Music. So it's different, very much so, but it's nowhere bad. It's not a bad mix. It's just not what I usually listen to. As
I
far as all my alternative years, yeah, I probably missed out on some good stuff. But like I said, I knew the album in '82, and then they didn't do it anymore. So that's
yeah.
kind of where it went south for me. But some very good songs, I will say. I can see why they're hooky. UK is like that. I mean, you look at the UK, you got Coldplay and Radiohead and the Smiths are like the Trinity over there. A lot
Yeah.
of people love that indie kind of different stuff. King Crimson's big over there too. It's
Yeah.
like so I can see all that. I could see the UK probably, and these guys weren't like number 10. They were like number 50 on the list.
Yeah.
So for the UK, I say okay. United States, they're never going to make the top 50.
I
That would be my spiel, but not a bad experience. I mean, I enjoyed the listening that I did to them, so I'll hand it over.
my first impression was, what is this dog shit?
Catches
Well,
you off
okay,
guard.
my first listen to it. So it's like, all right, so we're looking at progressive type fucking music. Their musicianship was fine. I could tell they were very talented musicians. I
Yeah.
did not care for the guy's voice in some of the songs. Some of them weren't too bad. I basically got an essentials list, and none of the songs that you listed was on it. None of them.
Oh, okay.
So for whatever they had on this list on iTunes, just some of it was just I see where he's got his voice is original, but I just didn't like how he sang some of the songs that I heard.
Okay, fair enough.
It was just, it just was too weird in spots. So that's why I wanted to see, okay, what era did they start and where are they coming from as a band?
I get you.
So you get that 70s feel because there was a lot of progressive experimental bands in the 70s.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah.
So
They had a vibe to them in the
yeah.
'70s, a little bit.
So
And, and with the strange factor you talk about, he actually tried out for, and we both know King Crimson is not our thing. Yeah.
yes.
And it's strange to us. Brian Ferry actually tried out for King Crimson, so that was kind of their vein.
Okay.
So I could see where you think the singing's a little different. I find it unique because I don't hear it every day.
Yeah.
But yeah, I didn't hear all the songs that maybe the same songs you did. I didn't hear a lot.
So overall, I mean, again, it's for me. It was a period piece type deal where you know what I mean. It took you back into the 70s. You could tell by some of the keyboards and stuff it had that 70s vibe to it, and
Yeah,
it wasn't awful, but I was just like,
yeah. I mean, early '80s was their biggest hit. So
well,
yeah, it's like
and
they were around for the '70s mostly.
okay. So for me, I was kind of like, eh, eh.
Yeah, I mean, I understand that, but it's like I also, I mean, I found the good in it. I guess is what I could say about it, and it doesn't bother. I guess because I was really into alternative at one point,
yeah,
it didn't make me want to throw up or anything like that. It was just, yeah,
yeah.
I'm not used to hearing that kind of true musicianship, but not no really kicking in parts. There was like nothing that kicked in and said, "Hey, let's rock." It was all kind of like artsy. If you want
Well,
to look at that, it's kind of
yeah,
artsy kind of stuff.
and there was a couple songs that felt that had like a psychedelic feel to it, and I'm not really
Yeah.
huge into the psychedelic stuff. The smoke a joint and fucking this is
No, no.
so
I
fucking
mean,
great. No,
no.
but I got
I'm
that
not.
vibe.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not a jam band guy in any way, and I'm not a psychedelic lover. There's some I like, but I don't go seeking it out. If it
Yeah,
hits me and it happens to be really good, then maybe. And this band, if I was told I have to listen to them for the entire day, every album they have, I would survive, but it wouldn't be like my favorite day at all.
yeah,
So it's just I respect them 100%, but it's not. It's just not for me.
yeah.
Good enough to keep my from wanting to off myself or anything, but it was also not making me want to go out and say I got to get me some Roxy music.
Yes,
I got to go
yeah.
download me some Roxy music.
I, I, I,
Wasn't that. So
yes. I will be
sorry.
deleting this from my library probably because we've
Yeah.
we've covered it. It was okay, but I'm not a Roxy music fan. So sorry about
Right.
that.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
people in the UK love them, then that's cool because that's you guys. But for me, I'm like they're a good band. They did some weird, cool stuff here and there. Like I said, it wasn't totally awful, but I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, yeah, all right,
Yeah. I mean, it's what you get with Virgin Ears, because
yeah,
we've had some decent ones, and we've had a couple that were just not our game, and it's not one of the worst. This is middle of the road as far as what we've had to
Yeah.
experience for the first time. But
Yeah.
that's just me.
So that brings us, speaking of which, to the
Yeah.
band called Marillion.
Marillion. Yes. Now, didn't know what to expect from Marillion. And they had some hits. I looked this up. They had, what was it? They have one album that was really interesting to me, if I could pull that up. Because if you guys know me at all, you would have to say, oh, he's going to listen to that. But I had it written down here, or I had it on my phone, and I don't know where it went. Oh, 2016's "Fuck Everyone and Run."
What is it?
The album that's the one that caught my attention, and I thought, okay, we're gonna be in the gold here. This is gonna be some rockin' ass shit. And I went to that one kind of first, and I was like, I think that's when I might have told you, oh, dude, this is gonna be a long week. Well, it wasn't. It wasn't. It ain't worthy of that title. It's just not. As far as what you would expect, it usually got an F bomb in the title. It's going to be there has some gumption to it. Never really did. So it's like, but they had some hits over the years. So I looked when I looked up that and I said, okay, I'm going to go find their hit songs. And the album that was popping up everywhere I went was the album Misplaced Childhood. Now, this was 1985. And I got to say that album is pretty good. The album itself is pretty good. The singer is I don't know, he's got a very infectious voice to me. Maybe you don't agree, but I think it was like an infectious voice to where I could get into it. It wasn't usual. It wasn't everyday ho hum kind of voice. But that album, the Misplaced Childhood album, had songs like Kaylee. Kaylee's a big hit. And it reminds me, here we go with my mashing again, like Steely Dan kind of thing, mixed with the cult a little bit. And that's kind of where I'm at with it. I mean, it's like Steely Dan for the progressive part and the cult for some of just the rhythms, but very ballady cult music. But I will say, and this is the one thing about Marillion before I get into any other accolades or anything, their bass player is fucking awesome. The bass lines is what caught my attention on every song. Every song. It's like that dude can play some bass. And I like the singer and I like the bass player. Those were the two that kind of jumped out at me. And I said, they're like, they're almost like a Steely Dan Chicago here in the United States. I don't even know where if Steely Dan's from the United States, but that's the vibe I get. Steely Dan Chicago, the cult kind of mixed up in a baby. Very good music, but very progressive. Like very prog, but not over the top heavy at any point. Guitars were good, drums were solid, singer was like I said, unique, bass player was off the fucking chain, but all their songs were slow, kind of like brooding songs. They were almost reminiscent of some Journey back in the day. Kind of remind me of a little bit of Journey too, but I don't want to throw too many bands in there. But I like these guys, but they're a step ahead maybe of Roxy Music for me, and I think that's how they were graded out too. So I think we're staying true to the list we had. But these guys have had a shit ton of music. I mean, God Almighty, they've had album after album. I listened to Misplaced Childhood mostly and Holidays in Eden. I did listen to that album too. Uh, man, there was some stuff that surprised me. Lavender was a really mellow song, but I liked it a lot. The bass line in Lavender is outrageous. I mean, but there's some more on here. I got these down and listed in order. Suedo's Silk Kimono, that was a strange song.
Uh, that
Yeah.
yeah. Mikey,
Heart,
I
heart.
got
Do you listen to any of the, do you listen to the playlist or what do you get?
I found an essential collection.
Oh, okay.
Okay, from Marillion, and this it had the Kaylee on there. I
Yeah.
remember hearing that one, and I was not. I mean,
It's a ballad. Yeah.
yeah, it
It's
was a
a
ballad,
mellow.
and I'm like, okay, uh, Punch and fucking Judy. That fucking song is asshole. It's
uh,
awful. So I don't know if that was might have been maybe their first album. I was like,
I don't
what the
know.
fuck is this shit? But again, this only had 9 songs on it.
Okay.
So if they picked, if this was from their essential collection, so I thought, okay, this will give me a good rounded feeling of what they're doing. Grendel was the first one they had. I didn't care for that. It's
Yeah.
just
I mean, there's some stuff that was just too out of touch. I didn't like most of their newer stuff, to be honest.
okay.
Um, I think the last album that I mean that fuck everyone and run was kind of like okay, you know.
So I may have missed some of their better stuff, but this fucking list did not do them any fucking. It was not encompassing of what they do. It can't be
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
because
there's
it was fucking. A lot of it was boring lyrically for me. Yeah, there was some cool vocal stuff he did here and there that I was like, okay, well that was kind of cool, but it did not do them any justice at all. So this
well,
fucking
yeah,
list of songs is skip it if you want to get into Marillion. I guess listen to some of their albums, or maybe like you said, their live stuff was a hell of a lot
yeah.
better. And
I did look.
I heard your bass player, so I do agree with that. He's moving.
He's
Yeah,
off the
he's
hook.
doing a lot
And
of good stuff.
I did listen to an album, a live album there, live in Glasgow is the one I heard, and they, I don't know, they're okay live. I mean, they just, it wasn't. I mean, it's like the old progressive stuff, Genesis, Emerson, Lake and Palmer, and I was never a big fan of it.
Yeah,
Even Yes's old stuff. I didn't like. I liked Roundabout, and that was about it from their old music. But I liked Yes's '80s stuff more than I think I did the progressive. So it's like it's just a musical choice at this point. Musicianship wise, yeah, they're fabulous. Um, Singer wise, I thought he was different, but he reminded me a lot of like a John Waite kind of guy.
okay,
Like bad, I could hear bad English coming through with the guitars when they went crazy on the guitar. It would be like a bad English kind of comparison for me.
yeah.
But I didn't hate these guys by any means, but I didn't think they were worthy of being top 50 in anything. I mean, I just don't consider them a rock band. Like rock, I consider them more of a
Prog rock.
progressive kind
Yeah,
of soft rock, almost not quite yacht rock, but you know, just not very heavy. And that's again, we talk about the UK and where this list was at, and bands like Coldplay or you
yeah.
know
That
Oasis
was the
and
first
stuff
thing
like
that
that.
popped in my
Yeah,
head. You're like looking at maybe Coldplay Light. on
Yeah,
some of
yeah,
their stuff.
kind of Coldplay, and for us here in America, that I gotta say Steely Dan or Chicago. It kind of had that feel to it, but
Yeah, but
maybe
not
not
they're
as.
not as good as Steely Dan or fucking
No, no, no,
Chicago by any fucking means.
no. But I mean, that's the point I think I'm going after. Steely Dan would be in the top 50 way long before these guys.
Yes.
And the fact that Steely Dan's not really ever considered a rock band, these guys really shouldn't be considered a rock band. I mean, they don't have any foot stomping, bob your
No.
head moments. It's all just like listening, Pink Floyd without the psychedelic feeling,
Yeah.
kind of. It's like, and I hate comparing them to other bands all the time, but when you never heard them before and they don't do anything that's like jumps out at you and says, "Hey, we're different over here." It's just not. It's like English quality music, but I don't understand the hype. And they have tons of hit records in the UK. So it's like, and I'm sure there's bands all over the world that have a band that stayed home, and all their success was in their home country. They didn't get to go venture out. That's what these guys would remind me of, like a hometown hero. And yeah, the UK and all that can definitely have them. As far as I mean, I don't want to sound shitty about it. I really don't, but it's like just the progressive stuff. You're gonna have to impress me with some extravagant stuff in a progressive band, but you're not going to be Rush. Then I really don't know if I need to listen to you because I like the progressive that's got some thumping music that really makes you. And these guys were just so mellow all the time, and
Yes.
to have that album, I think that's what set me off at first. When you have an album called Fear, Fuck Everyone and Run, that's kind of false advertising
Yeah.
because it's like, no, you shouldn't have. Maybe it's the culture's different over here than there, but man, I was really hoping for some heavier music, and I didn't get it. So I mean, these guys are again a mid. They're a meh. They're quality band. They've been around for what, fuck, 60 years or whatever the hell. It's a long time, and they're definitely worthy of being popular. I'm sure, but it's a niche kind of market. It's not mine. It's
Yeah.
not nothing I have any interest in. Prog freaks here, like that love Emerson, Lake and Palmer and love Genesis and love all that, they're probably Marillion fanatics
Yeah.
because that's perfect. The Genesis type of music. And it's like, yeah, I could see that being hyped up for it, but not me. I mean, I got to have a little more umph in mind.
Yeah.
They didn't have it.
Yeah. It was just a little too mellow. Just this, I guess the song selection was just too mellow. It a
Yeah,
lot more ballady than I like. I mean, good songs overall. That
yeah, it's like
the bass player was doing
yeah,
stuff,
yeah,
so there
oh
was
yeah,
enough interesting stuff that I could see where they had some success. But it was a snooze fest for me. I was expecting a little bit more. I guess the
yeah,
name. I was like, oh, well, these guys might be like early
pretty
'80s
cool. Yeah,
type. Yeah, and it was like, eh. So
yeah, it's like end up being like progressive modern jazz almost. It's not bad in any way. I'm a
yes,
modern
yeah,
jazz fan, but it's like when I'm expecting a top 50 rock band of all time, and I
yeah, it's misplaced in
one,
that list.
yeah, 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 very much so. So yeah, that's all I got on Marillion. Really,
Well, that's
I
all I'm going
listened
to
to
say on Marillion.
it. We'll do the grade out at the end maybe, but for now we'll just move along to the next band, and I'll have to get my spectacles because I got some stuff written down about them,
Okay.
which is they're probably my favorite, maybe
Out of the
out
three,
of the three.
yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
This one, I'm surprised I never heard, to tell you the truth. And Status Quo. And I was reading about them. Just, they've been around for a long time. And they opened the show at Live Aid.
Yes.
And I was like, man, I watched the Live Aid. How could I have missed the opening band? But somehow, some way, I missed the opening band. But the first song I listened to from these guys when I checked them out was In the Army Now. And I thought, oh my God, I'm going to puke
Yeah. Yeah.
because
That was not a good one.
I'm like, what is this? More of this crap. It's like the Osmond family or something. I just didn't get it. And it's like I listened to like the first three songs on the playlist. It's like Whatever You Want got a little better. Rocking All Over the World was somewhat better, but it still was like, okay, this isn't going to be my bag, but I'm going to go ahead and pick some albums, cherry pick some songs, did all that. It got better. Yeah,
Yes.
definitely got better.
Yes.
They are more guitar rock. They're like the 70s gods of guitar, the Robin Trowers, the Pat Travers, the guitar player for whoever. I didn't even look up their names, but the guitar players in this band got to be badass. I mean, it's just like they're definitely guitar rock and George Thorogoodish even to a point. Not maybe Stevie Ray Vaughan, not that bluesy, but theirs was just more like constant. It
Okay.
wasn't heavy, heavy.
So Status Quo was the bright point of my fucking week.
Yeah,
And I caught a lot of AC/DC type blues rock. Now
yeah,
it wasn't real distorted and heavy like AC/DC, but it had those chord progressions that were catchy. And I was like, okay, now we're getting somewhere. Yes, there was that fucking In the Army song.
yeah. That was fucking
That
shit.
was
It
that was
really was.
shit. That was not good. But a lot of these I liked. They were very catchy. I'm like, okay, we got something going on here. Pictures of Matchstick Men was like one of their bigger hits. I
Yeah,
It was okay, but some of the that Down Down was catchy. Uh, Backbone was kind of like but it was also catchy. So I got a lot of that '60s uh uh shit. Some of them '60s bands. Uh Paul Revere and the Raiders type feel.
oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? Where that it was kind of rocking, but it wasn't real distorted. But the guitars were busy doing shit, and I'm like, finally something that's a little bit more fucking upbeat. And some of them, yeah, were kind of dorky lyrics, but I'm going okay. These guys started in 1962.
Yeah,
And they had some
yeah,
name changes. They added the Status Quo in '67, went back to Status Quo in '69. So, 56 years ago, these guys were kicking around. So that's why I'm saying I got that '60s catchy music feel to them, and I liked
yeah,
it. I was like, okay, finally some good tunes. Like I said, some hokey lyrics here and there, but you could overlook it
yeah.
because it was at least upbeat. It wasn't all the progressive ballad shit that I had to listen to earlier in the week.
Yeah, I would say definitely the AC/DC with more arena guitars kind of sort of feeling. Wasn't real super hard.
Yes.
I mean, it wasn't like complex. It was more of us punching you in the face, but it was good enough to keep your attention. And I listened to a few different parts of anyway, a few different other live albums. I wanted to see how they progressed. From like 92 was the first one I heard, all
Okay.
the way up to 2012. And then they called this one, I don't know what it is, the Frantic Four reunion. That must have been when they split and came back together for a while. That was 2013, but they had an album that year, so I didn't understand that one. And I tell you, the 2012 album was probably my favorite live album. They had a song that's one of my favorites, "Big Fat Mama." I actually dug that song. I was like, just like 2 or 3 minutes long, but it was moving. It would remind me of like a whole lot of Rosie type of thing, and the guitars were wailing in it. I mean, it was a good time. Now, the one that really got to me was the "Don't Stop." Have you heard? Did you listen? Did they have any of that on your list? The "Don't Stop," the 30th anniversary album.
No, actually, it did not. It just it gave. Let's see. I had 22 songs, and I listened. I listened pretty much down the list. I
Okay.
got through most of this list, so it a lot of the songs that you're naming off were not on the list. So I'm kind of upset that I didn't get to hear those songs.
Yeah, but there's probably some on your list I didn't hear either. So I mean, it's like it evens out. They have 60 years worth of material here, so it's like okay. But the "Don't Stop" album got me because I thought, man, there's another song called "Don't Stop" by Fleetwood Mac. I'm a Fleetwood Mac kind of guy. So lo and behold, they cover "Don't Stop"
Oh no shit!
by Fleetwood Mac, and they also had some other covers on here.
Oh wow!
They did "Fun, Fun, Fun" by the Beach Boys. So yeah, they were having fun with this 30th anniversary. They do "Get Back" as a cover.
Oh shit! This is the
Safe,
30th anniversary album.
yeah, 1996, called "Don't Stop." And some of the covers on here were fucking really good, man. And "Safety Dance." They do "Safety Dance" for God's sakes.
Really?
Yeah. And "Proud Mary," they did that. They did "Lucille." "Future So Bright, I Gotta Wear Shades." I
Wow.
mean, yeah. I really don't want to base somebody off of the covers they do, but that album was pretty cool because I heard a lot of those. That's interesting. It's very interesting takes on the songs. I mean, these are songs now that I knew.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I know the songs. Let's see what they do with them. Yeah, it made it a little more impressive, I guess, because I knew those songs. I thought, man, they did a good job on that. That album, I haven't yet, but I'll probably download that. It was fun, and it's like I like when people do covers too, uh, just to hear their perspective on these songs. But yeah, they were kind of they'd be fun to party with. I think these guys remind me of guys that would want to go out and drink some beer and go in a garage
And just
and
jam.
just play jam music. I'm not a guitar solo person. We all know that. But the guitar solos there were like reminded me of the 70s so much. And coming from my brother's room, I got to hear Alvin Lee and Robin Trower and Jeff Beck. And that's what it reminded me of. Maybe not to that extent because there was a shit ton of vocals. I mean, there wasn't you didn't hear instrumentals so much
Yeah.
like you did on them guys. But man, the guitars were smacking on these. I thought the singer was a lot of fun. I
Yes.
mean, he
Yeah.
sounded like he was having a good time. And it's a shame because these guys have gotten a lot of accolades over the years and all that, and I'm kind of embarrassed that I didn't know who they were. I mean, I missed out on pretty good shit. I mean, it's definitely bare bone, kind of in your face. But I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. That's kind of what I like to hear. Sometimes I like to play when I was playing. It's like I don't want to get too flashy. I want to sound like on the album when I can play it live. That's what I want to hear.
Yeah.
That's what I get from these guys. When I heard the live album compared to the studio album, it was like, man, that's pretty much there. In the Army now, they need to take that off the top of their fucking list. Because if somebody hears that before they hear Big Fat Mama, they're not going to get it. And I almost said, fuck, I don't even want to do this.
Yeah.
I actually thought about that. I thought, man, I might just message him and say, I don't want to do this. Because these bands all suck. Because superficially, I
Yes.
didn't look past the first song or two. And it's like, that's on me. I get that. I get that now.
Yeah.
It's like not all their popular songs are the best. And I should know that. I mean, I do know that. But the difference between In the Army now and most of what Status Quo does is night and day.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't even know what that guy was singing. I don't know if they
Yeah.
changed singers. I think they did. I think they had a singing change in there somewhere because that guy didn't sound like the guy on Big Fat Mama by a means, and all the other stuff too. So it's like, yeah, you learn something every day. You can't judge a book by a couple songs. You got to
Dive into
make that
it.
attempt. Yeah,
Well,
even the other two bands. It's like I was ready to give up after hearing Kaylee from Marillion. I'm like, oh my god, good song, but what the fuck, And then even Roxy Music, it's like, if I wouldn't have known more than this, when I seen that, I'm like, man, I think I've heard this. And I popped that on because the songs ahead of it on the list were like ho
yeah.
hum, not the greatest ones. So
Well,
yeah, you
so it
learn,
makes you
man.
it makes you fucking wonder who picks these fucking essentials lists.
Well, yeah, and in my case, unfortunately for some of these guys, I go to like Spotify and it goes in order of the most streamed. So it's like these people. How is In the Army now the most streamed Status Quo song? I don't get that. Was it in a movie or something? I mean, did
I,
I miss? I don't know.
was it
But
a
it just,
protest song? I mean, I skipped that fucker. I started to listen to that, and I'm like, okay, I don't like
yeah,
it.
it's like Donny Osmond take over your channel or what?
Yeah, I did
And
not.
it's like not that I hated the song so much. It's just like it's just so I could see myself in a fucking malt shop in the 50s listening to this crap. It's like I don't hate much music. That song I was like that's some dog shit. I didn't
Did,
want to hear it.
did you
And
expect? Did you expect Fonzie to come out and jump the fucking stand and fucking
yeah, I'm
or
thinking
jump the
Buddy
shark?
Holly. You know what I actually thought when I was thinking about that? It's like Buddy Holly would wipe the floor with this guy. And Buddy Holly was, true blue 50s, and it was just that boring to me. It's like, what in the hell are you trying to do? And maybe it was to get a hit. You know how record companies were,
Yes,
especially for
yes,
bands
yeah,
in that age. Plus, I didn't really realize until I read about them that how old they were. So hell, that could have been a 1962 song, and it would have
yes,
fit back in '62. So yeah, I got to learn, investigate, deep dive a little bit before you cut out any band,
yeah,
And it's like Status Quo definitely was the surprise of the Roxy Music was second for me, and Marillion was just like it's just
yeah.
great music. That bass player, I mean, I would love to watch him play. I mean, that'd be the only reason I would watch Marillion at all was for the bass lines. But it was just because it's so not my music. Roxy Music has the alternative feel to it. Status Quo has the hard rock without all the, like you said, without all the distortion and stuff, but which I usually love. But it's good enough to makes reminds me of the great '70s guitar players, and that's what they were. I mean, they were in the '70s, so they probably fit right in with Frank Marino and Mahogany Rush and 10cc and all these guys. I'm sure they did. So yeah, I just kind of upset that I didn't know these guys. Kind of, I don't know how I missed them, but it's easier to do now when you have streaming service than back when I was a kid in the '80s, and I
Well,
would have
because you
missed
never
them
would have bought
easily.
probably the album. You never would have
No,
bought the album.
not if I'd have heard in the army. Now I would have said, "Oh
Yeah,
no
that's what I'm
way."
saying. So it's a fucking disservice to some of these bands that actually do have some good stuff that may not have been a hit. I mean, I'm going. I kind of want to fucking check out a couple more Status Quo stuff, but this fucking list, it's not. It's not good. It's not good
No, that didn't. I don't know much about iTunes list, but I wouldn't think if you don't think it's any good, then I would say it's probably not too good. Now, this one I had kicked myself because I didn't go and listen to it. Now I should have, and I'm aggravated that I didn't. Because when I was going through listening to the playlist and I went to listen to the live albums, I just kind of skimmed. I didn't really pay attention to the dates on a lot of them.
okay.
They had an album out in November of last year. So they have an album while we're called Driving to Glory.
Okay.
So that'll be a one that I'll have to listen to and see, man, how are they still doing this 62 years later? And yeah, I wish I would have listened to it now because in hindsight, it would be interesting to get the perspective on a band that's still in the thick of it. Now, Roxy Music's been gone for years. They've done reunion shows. I think Marillion's still around, but it's like they're not my style. But Status Quo, yeah, I'd be interested to hear if they're still the same kind of rocking in your face kind of band. So I will be listening to that. And that'll be a homework assignment for just me personally, not so much the show, but I
Yeah.
definitely want to see. They're already a thumbs up for me anyway,
Yeah.
but something brand new I didn't know existed. It's like, yeah, I'm going to have to check it out.
So, how do you want to rank? Do you want to do a quick rank before we end up wrapping things up today?
Well, yeah, I mean, I could do a quick I do a quick grade out if you want to grade it, and my favorite album would might be just throw it out. You don't have to listen to this or anything, but uh, we'll start with the best band, which is Status Quo. Yeah, and I like that. Don't stop. I mean, it's not there, but I mean, as far as if I had to pick an album just for shits and giggles, fun, it's Don't Stop, the 30th anniversary album. I did
Okay.
like that a lot. Their live album of 2012 was the best live album for Status Quo. So I ranked them at I gotta go a solid A minus on Status Quo.
I was
It would have
actually
been
going to go
probably
B plus.
yeah, it would have probably been an A solid A complete if not for In the Army Now. I just can't get past it. That song's the biggest stream they have. But yeah, so if you're going B plus, right?
Yes, I'll give them a B plus. A minus is pretty accurate, I think.
Yeah, I mean, I think and depending on the new album, it might push it to an A for me if I get to listen to that. So, yeah, definitely for that. Now we'll go to just go in reverse order here. Marillion is in the middle. Man, the Live in Glasgow album, it would be the one I would say check out if you want to hear what Marillion sounds like. But I can't do more than a C plus for Marillion. I just personal preference, not so much
Yeah.
the bass player A plus, but the rest of them are really, it's a C plus for me. That's about as generous as I can go, and no disrespect, but it's not my style at all.
Uh yeah, I think I'm gonna have to concur with that one. It's not my type of music. It's nothing against the musicianship. The musicianship,
No,
I would probably say they're a B minus as far as musicianship.
yeah, yeah,
So
I can I
it's
can see
very, very, very accomplished players. So I'm not, like I said, I'm not dogging them as musicians. I didn't really. It's just was too fucking boring for me. That's why I'd give them a C for my personal preference.
that.
I
Yeah,
give them a C because I didn't like their stuff. It was just too
right.
mellow. But B minus as players, maybe even a B plus. They they, they played well. So
Yeah. Oh
the
yeah. Yeah.
guys know their stuff. So it's not dogging their musicianship at all. It's just their material did nothing to make me go, oh yeah, well that's great. No, it was
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with having an opinion because that's all you can really do.
yeah,
Roxy Music, you know, um, I liked a lot of their stuff. I thought they were unique in a way. Better vocals. You weren't against the vocals, so you didn't care for them as much. But I thought they were better vocals than like a lot of the weird, strange bands with heavy piano, which they do have, and the horns and all that. I liked his vocals comparably.
okay,
Uh, the Avalon album is good, really good. The last album, the Avalon album, the live album in 2001 was very good. Also, uh, yeah, I got to give them a B plus. I mean, I'm just sitting. My alternative love of alternative in the '80s probably pushed them from a B minus to a B plus, but I like Brian Ferry's vocals. I think they're different enough without being extravagantly different, but I think they had a touch of difference to them than the rest of the alternative bands of the '80s. So yeah, I'm gonna say B plus on them.
okay. What was the Roxy Music album that you
A-
wanted? Avalon.
Avalon, yeah.
I'll check that out because maybe I'm missing something.
Well, the live album will show you a lot too. The live album's 2001's live album. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it had a name to it. I just knew what year it was out.
Okay, I'll give them a chance. I'll check that out because again, with the list that I got off of iTunes, it a lot of the lists just there was so much unflattering stuff that
Yeah,
it kind of made me bitter about. I'm like,
yeah. I mean,
okay,
I get
it's
that.
progressive, it's experimental, okay, and it's not really my thing. So I'm going just going to go C. I'm going to go
Yeah.
right C
Okay.
because
That's
the
fair.
material I didn't like the material, but again, you had musicianship. They had a couple little interesting things going on here there. It kind of made you go, okay, but it doesn't save how I rank it. No, it's still. I mean, I didn't catch the alternative angle.
Oh, yeah.
I
That
did.
album.
I caught
I think.
more progressive. I caught a more progressive
Yeah.
feel from it.
I think you'll get a little more of the feel from the Avalon album as
Okay,
far as alternative.
that's fair.
But yeah, and people got to understand too. And I'm not trying to make excuses for us or anything, but this isn't our job, and we don't have time to go listening to every album from people that have been around for 40 years to basically nitpick everything because
Yeah,
and what would be the fun in that unless you really enjoyed the music anyway? So just for that, it's like some people may agree or disagree with their list, and that's fine. And some people might listen to it and think, God, you guys gave them way too much credit, blah, blah, blah. That's fine too. It's just 1 week of listening to random stuff from these bands. And it was all becoming because they made a top 50 list and we didn't know who they were. That's all. That's as simple as it is. We're not out hunting for bands that, oh, yeah, I want to find them random bands and listen to them. No, we had a purpose for this.
Yeah.
So I think going back to that top 50 list, I'm going to say that Status Quo definitely belongs on it.
Yes.
Absolutely. And Roxy Music maybe sitting at 50 where it was is okay with me. As
Okay.
far as, because it's different vibe over there.
Yeah.
But Marillion, I don't see that. I don't see
Yeah.
them being on the list.
Well, it's again, we come from a little bit harder rock background, and I mean,
Yeah.
it's not that we don't listen to some. I mean, we've got a background with 50s and 60s music that we've listened to because of our parents maybe
Yeah.
had it around. So it's not like we've never heard that stuff.
Right.
I mean, there's Motown that I like that people would go, yeah, it's like whatever, dude. Everybody's music taste is different, and I think that was good for us to kind of dig up those bands that we had no clue about. None.
Yeah, and I'm gonna say, anybody that wants to, has a curiosity, morbidly or something, that wants to drop in the comments some random obscure bands that they think maybe we've never heard, I would give them a shot.
Yeah,
And if we got a few comments from 3 bands and we say, hey, I've never heard these guys, have you? You say no. Hey, maybe we'll do another one of these. But that's kind of what we need, a purpose to go out scouting for bands. There's enough going on in music, my gosh, without
yeah,
adding to our palette here. But I'm glad I did it. I'm glad that I
yeah,
went down in these bands, and couple that I found, I kind of dig, So it's like, hey, you find all kind of good, even stuff that's 40 years into 60 years old, like Status Quo. Unbelievable. And it's like I really enjoyed them. So hey, I got something out of the deal too, you know what I
yeah,
mean?
exactly. All right, Mikey, I think that's probably going to wrap it up this week.
Yeah, I'd say we did pretty good. Go out and listen to those bands if you're in, and see if we're crazy or not, or drop us a line underneath in the comments to say, hey, check these guys out. Check these guys out. And if they're random and I've never heard them, I will do that. So,
All right, this is Skeet.
Mushin Mikey over here.
See ya.
Peace out.